Hi Steve fans and welcome back. Nothing lifts an underwater photograph more than including the presence of a model or two. What was once a fairly mundane reef shot can be transformed into an eye-catching tableau by careful positioning of a diver. And that standard prop on a wreck image can take on a whole new dimension. Not to mention a sense of scale by the inclusion of a model alongside the main subject. However, just chucking a diver into the frame is not going to have the impact you want. And I'll be sharing some handy hints gleaned from years of editing dive magazines as to how to make the most of your underwater model. For those here for the first time, my name's Mark. I'm the editor-in-chief of the Scuba Diver media brand. And welcome to the Scuba Diver YouTube channel. Take 2 seconds and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of our future videos. And give that bell a ring so you get notification of the latest releases. Want some free stuff? Everyone loves free, right? Check out the description below for all sorts of goodies, like a free digital subscription to any of our magazines. Where we can, we'll link you to the destinations or equipment we talk about in the support our channel section in the description. For transparency, we'll earn a small commission each time you purchase after clicking one of these links, and this will go directly back into making more content for you to enjoy. Now, let's dive into the video. You will find dive magazines such as Scuba Diver littered with images that feature divers modelling on a reef, on a wall, with marine life, in a wreck, and so on. And this is because it helps readers really conjure up that could be me feeling as they read the accompanying article. Sitting in an office or at home when the rain is hammering down outside and seeing a vibrant coral reef with a diver cruising alongside a turtle, for instance, can really lift the spirits and provide a bit of much needed inspiration for planning your next exotic diving adventure. Even more so at the moment as we come out of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, I've spoken to many keen underwater photographers both here in the UK and when on assignment abroad. And it seems there's a distinct split when it comes to modelling and who thinks they should be attempting such shots. Far too many times I hear people using compact point and shoot cameras saying that such images are solely in the realm of DSLR and intermediate interchangeable lens camera users. But nothing could be further from the truth. With a little bit of forward planning and shot discussion with your model-to-be, there is no reason why you cannot produce magazine-style images with even the most basic of underwater cameras. It is all about composition, body position, eye contact, and so on. So here's some handy hints and advice on what you can do to make your model shots something you can be proud to show off to your family and friends. Let's start with the perfect model. So first off, who makes the perfect model? Well, ideally you want somebody who has impeccable buoyancy control so that they can hold the perfect position in the shot. You want incredible amounts of patience so that they don't lose their temper when you ask them to repeat a manoeuvre for the umpteenth time. And the ability to take direction so they know what the hell you're on about when you're indicating what you want them to do when you're waving your hands about. I'm lucky in that when I travel on assignment alone, I can generally wangle an off-duty or spare dive master or instructor to be my buddy come model. DMs and instructors make great models, as because it's their job, they have the buoyancy side of things down pat and come ready equipped with lots of patience. I'll storyboard some shots and ideas with them pre-dive so they know what to expect when it comes to hand signals and gestures. And then, just take it from there. It generally works well, though as with all things, some are better than others. And those who are also avid underwater photographers themselves usually make superior models, as they innately know where to pose for the shot, as that is where they would place a model if they were the shooter. However, it makes things much easier when I'm travelling with a professional model, such as my wife Penny, who's accompanied me on many dive trips around the past 20 odd years, or my good friend and dive instructor Lynn Bean. Both of them have served as models extensively in a range of waters from temperate to tropical, and when you work with people on a regular basis like this, it makes the whole model photographer relationship work a lot easier as you start to know what the other person is automatically thinking. I've even roped Scuba Diver co-founder Ross Arnold into modelling duties when we were away diving together as well. If you have a regular buddy, be that a spouse, relative, good friend, whatever, then start to mould them into your perfect model. You're going to be diving together anyway, so you might as well make the most of their presence in the water. And from their point of view, being a model is a surefire way to improve their buoyancy and general in-water control. Plus, once you get going and they know what sort of natural props, coral outcrops, sponges, etc. you are attracted to, they can also keep an eye out for potential subject matter. Next up, eye contact. For me, one of the first things I try to eliminate from shots with models is direct eye contact with the camera. Personally, I think this reduces what could have been a classic magazine shot into a mere holiday snap, especially if the diver is posing next to an interesting subject. I mean, why would a diver be looking straight at the camera if they had a clownfish doing cartwheels or a turtle chomping on a sponge right there in front of them? I always try to get my models to look at the main subject of the image, whatever it might be, and then position myself in such a way that I can still see their eyes, so that the photograph then tells a story in itself, i.e. here's the diver on the reef checking out a family of clownfish. If no subject presents itself, or if you have your model doing something such as exiting a wreck or swimming along a sheer wall, then get them to look into the distance, so that the viewer is left wondering what they're looking at that is out of the shot. I tell my models to look a metre or so above and to the side of me, so that I can still get their eyes clearly in the photograph. As with all things, this is more of a personal guideline than a rule. There have been the odd time when direct eye contact worked well, but by and large, I stand by the look at the subject, not at the camera pose. Be careful though, if your model gets too close to the subject or turns their head too sharply, you won't be able to see their eyes, and you'll just get a reflection on the mask lens, and that seriously reduces the impact of the shot. Mask choice. Closely linked to eye contact tip comes mask choice. I love my black skirted twin lens mask, but it's a royal pain for anyone wanting to use me as a model. Because I'm acutely aware of the limitations of black masks, I know what angle and where to look to give them the best chance to capture my eyes. But to give yourself an easier time, get your model to wear either a clear frameless mask or, as I've discovered, a white or brightly coloured frameless mask. There's a whole host of vibrantly coloured masks now on the market. The large, low-profile single lens design means you can easily see their eyes, and the brightly coloured or transparent skirts only help put the focus on the model's face. Masks such as the Oceanic Shadow Ice, Atomic Aquatics Frameless, in clear, the Bowshap Max Lux S and the Apex VX1 make perfect model masks. Many photographers I know carry one of these masks with them on all their trips, so that they can get their model to wear it instead of their normal mask. Getting a sense of scale. We've all had it happen. We find ourselves confronted with a monumental beast underwater, be that a giant whale, a whopping big shark, humongous turtle, or at the opposite end of the scale, a monster nudibranch, and hastily fire away, eager to get proof of our epic encounter with a creature from the deep. And what happens? We show the photograph to our peers and are met with scornful looks accompanied by comments such as, "Doesn't look that big," or "It's probably only a metre long," which would be pretty impressive if it was a nudibranch, but that remark is normally levelled at shark shot. This is an awkward one. We know how big our subject was, but a critter taken against a blue water background, or even with a reef behind, doesn't allow the viewer to glean how big it actually was. Hence, you need to add something that will give your main subject a true sense of scale. Enter your trusty model. Example, the propeller on a ship is a magnet for underwater snappers, but these can vary in size from relatively small to absolute giant. I endeavour to get my model alongside the prop and or rudder so that at a glance, people looking at the shot can get an instant sense of the sheer size of the wreck. Looking at a shot of a stern alone, it's difficult to appreciate how big it actually is. Could be a dinky little motor cruiser. However, a photograph with the model alongside the hull really gives the image a much needed sense of scale, as well as adding to the picture as a whole. The same goes for animal shots. This giant moray eel was hanging out of a wall on the house reef of Fileteo in the Maldives. The eel was just chilling out with half of his body protruding from the coral into the open water. The first shot, with the eel in the centre of the frame, it makes a pleasing composition on its own right. But once you add in the model, suddenly the eel seems so much more impressive because you're able to see how big it is right there. Find a point of interest. Looking back at all photographs I took underwater, there are an awful lot that show reef, reef and more reef. Now in the beginning I was blown away by every colourful bit of coral I saw, so I'd take a photograph. But over time I started to focus on individual subjects or standout areas of reef that had impact instead of just blazing away. These early shots are just dull as dishwater. A bland reef with no real point of interest just doesn't work on any level really, never mind in a magazine. However, if you find a good subject but it just lacks that little something, bring in your model once again. The colourful anemone with attendant clownfish look nice in the glare of the strobes, but on its own, it just seems a bit flat. Bringing in the model next to it with their eyes glued onto the anemone and clownfish just lifts the entire image and also allows it to tell a story. Using a torch. I see a lot of photographs where the shooter has got the model holding a torch. This can add a superb point of focus for the viewer, and it adds to the image as a whole. But be careful where you do this. It can be overdone. My rule of thumb is to try and stick with torch use in situations where you genuinely would use a light, so that it doesn't look too forced or set up. Compare the images of the diver behind the anemone. In one, they're holding a torch. In the other, they are just close behind the main subject. Now both shots have the required eye contact, both have good composition, but for me it works so much better without the torch. I mean, this was taken at 20 metres on a Maldivian reef on a sunny day with a good 20 metres of viz. Would you really be using a torch in these conditions? Don't think so. On the flip side, the shots of a diver equipped with a torch entering or exiting a wreck, underneath some dark overhang, or on a dusk or night dive is a more natural scene. And so in these instances, I would urge you to try shooting your model when they are wielding a light. What are some of your top tips when it comes to working with underwater models? Leave your comments below, and if you have a question, fire away, because if we can't answer it, maybe someone in our growing community will be able to. Remember, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and don't forget you can grab a free digital magazine subscription in the description below as well. As always, stay safe, and if you're going diving soon, enjoy.